Okay. Relationships. So I'm saying to you guys, it would be nuts for the estate agents to account manage you because it isn't fit for their job, because people move on average every 14 years. It is nuts if you don't account manage them. Now, your husband loves estate agents, doesn't he? He was very funny when he was in the room. He was just like, no. I like him for that. But for me, give, then get. So when I used to go into the room with an estate agent, particularly a young one, and we want this guy back. There's a guy called Mike. Any of you in the workshop with Mike, the estate agent?
Yeah, Mike, he's great.
Yeah, and what did he say? 10 years ago, he met me, and he was one of the youngsters, and I did precisely this, and he's got 10 houses now.
I'm saddened to see him back.
We're trying in the nicest way without stalking him. We're trying very hard. We want him and we want Josh Offer, also an estate agent. They would be amazing in our room. Mike would be great. Anyway, Mike was like, Suze, you told me this 10 years ago on a viewing. I've bought 10 houses and it's because of you. He did all the work, but I gave him the data, right? So I'd go in, I'd see the house, I'd do the quick bunny jump round the bayfront window, check the damp. I'd check where the windows are skew. I'd use my property viewing recorder, so I'm shortcutting. I don't have to think. I just have to robot through the house, check the purloin, just check everything. I've still got 10 minutes left on the viewing. What do? I focus on the relationship. Yeah? And I'll go, hey, Mike, and I did this with him. Do you know what I'm doing? I'm obviously looking for some margin in here. So what I do, let me show you, because do you know what? You're going to be Mike now. Do you know what, Mike? You could do this. Like, honestly, like, you know more about property than me, because normally they do, because in their quarter-mile radius, they will be more expert than you. That is for sure. Mike, and I'll take a little piece of paper and I'll put it against the wall, and I'll do this. So, Mike, what I do is I buy a house for $85,000. Now, these days, I know the number's going up, but I'm going to use the one that I used to use 10 years ago and I used on Mike. I spend $7,800 on refurb, because, again, I did at the time. And it was revalued at $130,000. Now, Mike, I knew it was worth $130,000 before I started, right? So at $130,000, Mike, give me, and I make him do the work. So could one of you do this for me? I got a 75% loan to value mortgage. So Mike, what is 75% of 130? 90, is it? I don't think it is.
65, 98,
I think it's 97 and a bit. Should we call it 98? So Mike, I got a mortgage of 98 grand, right? This is how I do property. Mike, you could do this. Mike went and did 10 of these. And can we just do 85 plus, call it 8, 93. So, and I do this in the house with Mike, or Jemima, or Sylvia, or anybody. I go, right, Mike. So I ended up with a property at 130. I got a 98 grand mortgage back, but it only cost me 93 grand. And Mike sits there going, oh my God, I'm 23 and I could do that too. So you can see now, Mike, why I'm looking for margin, because this is how I can go again and again. And you know, Mike, you can do this too. Now, I'm delighted that 1 in 100 of the agents I talked to, Mike, ended up with 10 houses. Good on him, good lad. But 100 out of 100 agents now understand why I need a discounted property. And instead of me and Mike beating each other up, adversarial, we are 100% shoulder to shoulder, standing at that property, looking at that little piece of scrap paper, and I'm encouraging him to do it too. He's on my side now, to a degree. He's understood the maths. And the reason I say, well, I want him to do it, but also he's now believing in it. He understands it. He's got the concept, because he's going to understand it a lot more if you say you could do it than, mate, I'm doing it and it's all in my pocket. Thanks very much. Yeah? And now they understand why you have to put the offer in that you put the offer in. So, Mike, what I don't want to do is go and waste your time by going to see any property that I can't do that kind of maths on, because it's just going to waste your time. Give, then get. And good on Mike for buying 10 houses. If you see him before I do, tell him we really want him on the mentoring, because he'll be amazing. Imagine if we had 2 hotshot estate agents in our group. So, don't be selfish for their time. Only view properties you can offer on, because otherwise you're wasting their time. And it's not fair. They will get sacked if they can't deliver. They will. They will get sacked. So don't use their very precious time to go and do a nice to have kick around and don't offer.